This time on Road and Race, I need to get my Boxster finished, so I bleed the brakes and clutch, put all the remaining bits back on, then hope all my repairs have worked when I attempt to drive it. In the last episode, I got my car ready for the track by upgrading the brakes. In this video, I want to get the car finished because I've had it for ages and I've not driven it, and I'm really desperate to actually drive the car. I think I've owned this car for 3 months and driven it for about an hour. So it's got to be ready now because I want to drive it. So I've still got a few things to do. I've got to check that all the brake stuff that I did actually works and there's no leaks. A bit worried about this because it's the first time I've attempted to make my own brake lines, and this is kind of like the acid test, so to speak. So hopefully I've done it all right. And then I've got to bleed the clutch, which I've not done before, so that'll be fun. There's a special way of doing it according to the Porsche workbook, so look forward to that. And I think that's it. There's a few little bits and bobs to do, but mainly those are the big things. This episode is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to try and make it a bit longer. A few people have asked me to make the videos longer, so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to capture more of the kind of real world challenges that you face when working on the car by yourself. You may find it interesting, you may not. Let me know, I'm all ears. So anyway, let's get started. So to bleed the brakes, I'm going to use one of these. It's a pressure bleeder. I've had this a long time now. Still works fine. So what you get is a little cap of a kind of valve on the top, and that screws on top of your brake fluid reservoir, just there. And then this little hose pops in on top. Unscrew this, pop your brake fluid in here, close it up nice and tight, and then you've got a little pump on the top, and you've got a little pressure valve, and once you get that up to the required pressure, you can start going around the calipers and bleeding the brakes. You can use any .4 brake fluid inside the Porsche, but I'm using EBC's high temperature racing fluid because I'll be taking this out on the track and I don't want my brake fluid to boil. So just turn this here. Just put a towel down because I don't want to damage my paintwork because brake fluid can eat into paint. Take the brake fluid reservoir cap off. Now we're fully pressurised at 2 bar, ready to go. Now normally I'd go straight on to bleeding calipers, but because I've done quite a lot of work to this car when it comes to brake lines, I've replaced brake lines, I've put new brake hoses in, I replaced hard lines on the caliper. I'm just going to quickly whiz around the car and see if anything's kind of seeping or leaking at the moment. I've used copper nickel lines and they're a little bit softer than, stainless steel, steel lines. So I've not cranked those up that hard. I've just done them kind of finger tight. So I'm expecting a few leaks because if you do over tighten those copper nickel fittings, you can damage them. So I'm being cautious, so to speak. So let's go around and see if anything's leaking. Driver's side front. Oh, yeah, you can see I've got a little bit of a leak there already. Can you see that? I'll tighten that up. Flexi here looks all right. And from the hose down here. Okay, let me quickly get a spanner and sort out this pool that's collecting on the floor. So it was just seeping up here. So I've just given this top one a quarter turn just to nip it up a little bit, and we'll keep an eye on that. On the passenger front side, another leak in 2 places. Up here and here, you can see the brake fluid just dripping. So I'll nip those up as well. Underneath the car, the midline sections seem to be pretty dry. That new line's holding up well. And these stainless steel lines here don't seem to be linking either. This little section where I cut into the existing brake hard line seems to be pretty dry, so that's good. Now that we don't need to tighten it, I'm just going to put a little cable tie on here. Stop it wobbling around and kind of, not corroding, but what's it, grinding? Chafing, that's the correct word. Word of the day, chafing. There we go. Onto the passenger rear, and This pool of fluid is my first clue. Snip that up. And on the driver's side rear, you must have a leak because there is a pool of fluid there. Flexi to flexi, dry. Flexi to hard line, dry. Hard line to caliper, dry. Oh, here we go, this one. Right, that needs tightening. After all that, as you can see, I've lost a little bit of pressure in the system, so I'm just going to pump it up and then go around and bleed each caliper. I will, of course, go around the car once we're all done to see if those areas that were leaking are still leaking. But now, time to bleed the calipers. So, you want to start with the caliper furthest away from the master cylinder, and on the Boxster, it's the driver's side rear. The routing goes all the way to left and back, then across, as you know, because it goes over the gearbox. So, this one we're starting with. Because this is a 4-piston caliper, there's 2 sides you need to bleed. Other cars like my BMW just have a single piston, so there's one side to bleed, but because we got 4, 2 on each side, we have to bleed these. I'm going to start at the outside and then do that one. I do have a full kind of how-to guide on how to bleed your brakes on the channel. I'll put a link up here and I'll put a link in the description box as well, and I'll step you through it. I'm going through this in quite a lot of detail anyway, but just in case you wanted to, something a bit more in depth. Little bottle and some clear hose to bleed brakes. You just need to connect one end to the nipple, one end in here, use a spanner, loosen it, and normally you'd want to get a fair amount of fluid out of the car if you're doing a flush. So if this car holds, say, a litre of fluid, you probably want to get a quarter of a litre out of each caliper to make sure that you've got all new stuff in the system. But because my system is probably pretty much dry because it's been apart and leaked out and everywhere, I'm just going to bleed it until all the air bubbles disappear. Right, here we go, first one. Oh, there's air. You can see all the air bubbles coming out now. Keep going, more, loads. Quite good flow. So I'm just going to stop this now. Just going to do that 7 more times now. Right, that's all 4 calipers bled. Let's top up the brake fluid reservoir, get in the car and test the brake pedal, see how it feels. Now, we can't just unscrew this from the brake fluid reservoir because it's under pressure and fluid would go everywhere in my face, and I don't like that. So, little release valve here, you push that down, all the air comes out, and you can unscrew it. As you can see, the pressure bleeder leaves the fluid pretty much near the top. It's a little bit topping up just to get to the max, but I'll do that at the end because I want to leave my car under pressure for a while just to make sure there aren't any missing leaks. Here we go. Oh, that's nice. It's a nice firm pedal. Obviously it's different when I turn the engine on and the booster kicks in and whatnot, but for now it's quite good. So I could turn the car on now and see how the brake pedal feels with the engine running, the booster at full vacuum. But I think I'm going to wait till I've bled the clutch, so we'll do that next. It's so nice in here. We're nearly there. We're able to drive you soon. It's close. It's close. Just looking up how to bleed the clutch. This line in the manual has made me laugh. As there's no system pressure, servo kinematic effects will cause the clutch pedal to move forward abruptly. There you go. Kinematic effects. Right, so I've looked up how to bleed a clutch. Never bled a clutch myself before, so connect up the pressure bleeder again, but less powerful this time, 1.3 bar pressure. Connect the plastic hose to the bleed nipple on the clutch, open the valve on the clutch, and then I have to get in the car and guide the clutch pedal down very slowly by hand because of kinematic effects. Hold it down for 30 seconds and then for another minute go up and down slowly, very slowly, it says, very slowly. Then go around the back, check for any bubbles in the bleed hose, disconnect the pressure bleeder, and then I have to activate the clutch slowly 5 times. And then we're done. I have to do is activate clutch pedal slowly 5 times. Right, it's kind of moment of truth now. I'm going to start the car. I haven't started the car since the IMS bearing. We turned the car over manually on the crank, and it was all fine, but we've not actually started the car to see if we put the IMS bearing back together. So a little bit nervous in case the engine explodes. It'll be fine, surely. But I'll start the car and see if the brakes work, see if the clutch still feels all right, see if there's any other leaks. Last time I started the car, whole dashboard lit up loads of PASM suspension errors and stuff like that. So hopefully they won't be there, or if they are, I'll have to find a way of kind of clearing those errors. Anyway, wish me luck. Hey, Rex! Hey! Brake pedal is good pressure, it's good. Clutch feels fine. So we've still got the PASM warning error, which is a suspension error. So I'll have to look into that, see what I need to do. But generally, yeah, pretty happy. Yeah, we're nearly there. We're so close, so close. So my Porsche says I've got 2 problems, PASM and BZM. First one, Porsche active suspension management, and then Porsche stability management. Don't know why they put the word Porsche in front of everything. Anyway, now the stability management, that's like traction control. So if I'd let the like ABS pump run dry, then maybe that's a valid error. Although I did try to mitigate that by putting a piece of wood on the brake pedal to hold it down. So I don't think it's that. And have a suspension management error when I've not touched the suspension is weird. But I did find this in the handbook.
Putting vehicle into operation after the battery is disconnected. I have disconnected the battery for about 2 months. So it says that the PSM light can come up. So I'm going to start the engine, move the steering wheel left and right, drive forward a little bit, and then otherwise I have to go to a qualified specialist workshop. Oh no. And if all that works, I need to sort the windows out and put them in their position. Right, let's give that a try.
Well, that didn't fix it. Maybe it's because the car's on a lift. I'm not going to worry about it for the time being. I'm going to get this thing on the road and see if it kind of sorts itself out there. Going to put the car back together now. So I've got to put the bumper back on, all the bracing, under trays, stuff like that. I'm going to connect up the pressure bleeder whilst I do all that, just to make sure that there's no other leaks. I'll check that before I go. And then it's driving time.
One of the problems of leaving a job and coming back to it months later is these are the nuts and bolts and brackets for the rear bumper and wing and carpets and stuff, and I have no idea how they all go back. I guess I have to figure it out.
Right, the under tray is back on. I say under tray, it's about under trays, isn't it? There's about 5 of them. There's so many screws keeping that thing on. Oh, I'd hate to try and do it on my back on ramps, jeez. And no wonder Porsche charge you a fortune. The first hour is just taking the tray off. Anyway, just one last thing we have to do before we can drive this.
And that's to get rid of this terrible floor mat. I've ordered these genuine floor mats from Porsche. Feel the quality. Oh, so much better.
Just heading out for a quick road test, see if everything I've done works. I did hope to get the roof down, but it started raining, so here we go, never mind. Right, set up quite gingerly. Just quickly check, see if, yeah, that works. A bit faster maybe. 30 miles an hour. This works quite well. Gearbox works. As you may have known, I've never actually repaired brake lines before by myself, and I've always been wondering at night, is this the car that's going to kill me because I've not done the brakes properly and it's going to explode? So, but there's no leaks. I've pressurised the system at 30 psi. Car stops, so 40 miles an hour stop. Let's give it a quick go. Brand new pads. Oh God, they work well. The PASM and PSM errors I had in the dash have disappeared, so clearly that was just a battery issue, which is good. Eagle-eyed viewers or people that watch my community posts on YouTube may have noticed I've got new tyres for the car. The previous tyres were not very safe. I can't remember, I think it was the rears were massively out of date. They were over 10, no, sorry, it was the fronts. Because the fronts don't get used very much, they were massively out of date, 10 years old. So even though they were, you know, they still had plenty of tread left on them, I didn't think it was safe to drive in them because you have risks of the sidewall like blistering or puncturing or stuff like that, so they had to go. And on the rears, they were only 6 years old, but, which is borderline, but anyway, they were really low on tread. They were 3 mil. Now I know 3 mil was above the legal limit of 1.6 mil, but you know, it's a high performance car. When it's wet, it can get a bit sketchy when, you know, the tyre thread does get below that. So for peace of mind, and also there were Bridgestones on the back, Michelin's on the front. So I don't like driving mixed tyres as well. I don't know if there's any scientific reason why that's bad, but it just feels like the different characteristics of tyre, will that affect the handling of the car? Anyway, pleased to announce I've got Kumho PS91 tyres, which I've used for many, many years, and they're ace, so very happy with those. I've used them on the road and on track, so they're really good high-end tyre if you just want to use one set of wheels day to day and then be able to race up to the track and know that they'll work well there. Excellent dry and wet grip, no complaints really with those tyres. They're also really good value as well, £117 each for the front, which is very competitive. If you compare that to other high-end manufacturers, you'll be paying about £40 more a corner, and that adds up. You know, £160 for a full set of tyres extra, you know, it's a fair saving. These new tyres also do feel a lot more kind of supple. It gives them a much more comfortable ride actually. And I didn't do any noise tests, I wish I had now, but the road noise seems to be a lot less than the previous tyres as well. So all in, pretty good. These tyres start with 7 mil of tread on them, and I'll measure them when I go to the track next week and see how much wear they have. Talking about the track, I've also got some V70A track tyres from Kumho as well, and I can't wait to get these on the car and test them at the track, because although these tyres are good as like an all-rounder, if you can afford dedicated track tyres, it makes so much more of a difference. The level of grip you get and the kind of just the pure enjoyment you get out of having a pair of tyres that just give you that little bit more, it's so much fun. Just coming up to a country road now, so I can give it a bit of beans. Is it too early, considering I'm not really testing the brakes? I bought this car, drove it for 1 hour, and then had it on a ramp or lift for 3 months. This car is really great to drive. You really miss it. It's just so planted. Like, the weighting on everything's really good. The steering weight's really good. The tyre weight's really good. Just feels quality. And also with this PASM suspension, it's really comfortable. Like, surprisingly, even over kind of really quite bumpy roads. This, such a nice car. Just found a quieter bit of road now. I'll do my brake tests and my try and do some bedding in tests. It's quite a bumpy road, so I might not
work very well on camera. So I'm going to do a braking test from 30 miles an hour. Go. Oh, me. Sorry about that. I might have to beep that out. EBC blue stuff pads, used them for years. They work immediately. They don't really need bedding in. If you're just going to drive them on the road, they've got like a bedding in coating or something, which makes sure they work like straight away. And as you can tell, I've not bedded these in before, and these things just, oh my God. They, again, anecdotal, but they stop you so much quicker than the other pads I had on. I think they were Texar pads I had on before. Just kind of cheap, really cheap £30 pads. But this seems to really stop you a lot quicker. Let's take it up to 50 and give it a good stomp. 50. Oh my God. You could hear the anti-lock kicking in there, so the pads were absolutely great from start. If you're going to be doing spirited driving and want to bed these in best you can, there is a bedding in procedure. You basically have to drive the car for 50 to 100 miles and then do 8 stops from 70 to 30, and that will kind of make sure that the pads are bedded in correctly. If you're going to the track, it is really important you do the bedding in process, because whilst they work well over down roads like this, they won't have mated properly, and so if you're going to be doing a lot of track work, you'll find that they don't work as well as you would like. So the process for doing it on track is to then do 10 stops from 80 to 20. Now, next thing on my list to sort out is the stereo, because it's blinking horrible and I'm out of fuel. The speakers on this side, the tweeter and the woofer down here, are just really distorted. They've obviously been blown at some stage, so I need to get replacements of those. The actual stereo itself only has CDs and radio, no aux in or Bluetooth or anything like that, so I need some way to connect my phone to it, so I might have to replace the head unit on that one. I'd rather not, because I do like the look of it and want to keep it kind of original, but I don't really know of any other option. Anyway, let's go back to the garage and check to see if there are any brake leaks.
So I've had a quick look around the car, can't see any obvious leaks, but what I'll do is after this video, I'll get the car back on the ramp, take the wheels off and kind of leave it for a while and just see if I do notice anything untowards. But, you know, I've given it a good drive and doesn't seem to be anything wrong, and the, you know, brake fluid reservoir still looks full. So, you know, looks like everything's okay. Just a quick reminder, I've now gone full time on YouTube. Yes, exciting times. So I'll be doing at least 1, if not 2 videos every single week now. It never stops. And yeah, if you want to support me and become a member, there's 2 tiers. The second tier, you get exclusive videos every week, so that's always fun. It's kind of stuff that I don't really have time to capture with the main videos, and fun stuff and events and unboxings and parts. Just my daily random musings, if that would be entertaining to you. If you do become a member, you do have the option of getting a shout out. So the first person to get a shout out is Lane Hogger 1532. 1,530. That's a lot of lane hoggers. Was Lane Hogger 1 not available? Don't know. In other news, I've reached out to a few other YouTubers, and I've got a collaboration coming with another DIY mechanic type person. You may know who he is. Don't want to spoil it, but he's coming around here to work on his BMW. There you go. Right, next video should be me at the track, I think. There might be some other videos with another old YouTuber coming up if I can arrange that. He's very busy though, so we'll see if we get a surprise there. Anyway, if you have any comments, suggestions, thoughts, please leave them at the comment section. Always, please do leave a like on the video. It really helps with the algorithm and stuff like that, apparently. And as always, thanks for watching.